Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Hey You Positive One, where we bring you powerful life lessons from the world's most inspiring minds. If you're someone who loves motivation, real stories, and practical wisdom, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content that moves you. Today's video is all about a man who changed the world, not just with technology, but with how he thought, how he lived, and how he inspired millions. Before the world had iPhones in their pockets, before Apple became one of the most valuable companies in history, there was a college dropout with a dream and a different way of thinking. His name was Steve Jobs. But this is not just a story about technology or Apple. It's about life. It's about courage. It's about following your heart, even when the path is unclear. Today, I want to share with you 3 powerful life lessons from Steve Jobs. Lessons that didn't just shape his life, but can reshape yours if you truly understand them. So wherever you are in life right now, whether you're lost, stuck, or simply searching for more, this is for you. Steve Jobs dropped out of Reed College after just 6 months. Not because he wasn't smart, not because he couldn't handle the pressure, but because he didn't want to spend his parents' hard-earned money on something that didn't feel meaningful. But he didn't really leave. He stayed on campus, slept on the floors of friends' dorm rooms, and he started attending classes that inspired him. One of those classes was on calligraphy, learning about beautiful fonts, spacing, and typography. It had no practical use at the time, but years later, when Jobs built the first Macintosh computer, that calligraphy class became the inspiration behind the first computer with beautifully designed fonts. That one random choice shaped the look of every modern digital interface we use today. And this led Steve to one of the most powerful truths about life. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. In other words, you don't always know how the things you do today will matter, but they will. You have to trust your instincts. Trust your heart. Trust that the dots will connect in your future. Maybe the job you're in right now feels pointless. Maybe your side hustle isn't making sense. Maybe your creative spark feels random. But someday, those experiences might connect to something bigger than you ever imagined. Don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid to be curious. Don't be afraid to follow the dots, even when the path isn't clear. At the age of 30, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the very company he started. Imagine that. The world saw it as failure, but Jobs saw it differently. In his words, "I didn't see it then, but it turned out being fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me." Why? Because being fired gave him freedom. The pressure of success was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. And because he still loved what he did, he started again. He created Next, a company focused on powerful computers. And he helped build a tiny animation studio called Pixar. That's right, Pixar. The company that gave us Toy Story, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, and more. Eventually, Apple bought Next, and Jobs returned to Apple. And the rest is history. The iPod, iPhone, iPad, iMac. All of it happened after his biggest so-called failure. You see, Steve Jobs had one unfair advantage. He loved what he did, and that made him unstoppable. He once said, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do." If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. And that's something we all forget sometimes. We chase money. We chase status. We chase validation. But the truth is, if you don't love what you do, you'll give up when things get tough. You'll burn out. You'll settle. But if you truly love what you do, you'll keep going no matter what. Ask yourself, if nobody was watching, if there were no likes, no followers, no salary, would you still do what you're doing? That's passion. That's purpose. When Steve Jobs was 17, he read a quote that shook him to his core. "If you live each day as if it were your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." That quote never left him. In fact, he said that for the next 33 years of his life, he looked in a mirror every morning and asked himself, "If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today?" And whenever the answer was no for too many days in a row, he changed something. That mindset became even more real when Jobs was diagnosed with cancer in 2003. At one point, doctors told him he had only months to live. But that brush with death didn't break him. It sharpened his focus. It reminded him that life is short, and most of what we worry about doesn't matter. In his Stanford speech, he said, "Remembering that you're going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. We all act like we'll live forever. We delay our dreams. We wait for the perfect time. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. Your time is limited. So don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, by other people's opinions. Don't let the noise of the world drown out your own voice. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition, because somehow they already know what you truly want to become." Steve Jobs left behind more than just a company. He left behind a philosophy of life. Connect the dots. Love what you do. Live like you're dying. You don't need to invent the iPhone to live a meaningful life. You don't need to be a billionaire to leave a legacy. You just need to live intentionally. You need to follow what makes your heart beat faster. You need to make bold choices, even when they scare you. Because if you do that, you won't just build a career, you'll build a life. And as Steve Jobs said at the end of his Stanford speech, "Stay hungry, stay foolish. The world belongs to the ones who dare."